Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sharmit podcast. Today, I'm here with another special guest, Andrew Jeffery, who has joined us from United Kingdom. Andrew is an IBM champion and a certified IBM deployment professional for Maximo, with an extensive and impressive track record of producing over 350 plus articles on enterprise asset management. He is consistently contributing to this IT industry. Not only this, he has built the Maximo Secret, a go-to resource for all those professionals who are navigating to the Maximo landscape. So today in this episode, we are going to talk about the secret of Maximo Secrets and his professional journey. But before that, I would like to thank Andrew for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
Thank you, Amit. I've been around the Maximo scene for 28 years now. I came from a mechanical engineering background, and I got into computing very, very early, particularly on PC. So I had one of the very first PCs in the whole of BP that was not in the IS department, and I actually worked for the IBM acquired a company called MRO Software in 2006, and the prior name to that was PSDI, and I had worked for PSDI, left for 5 years, and rejoined on the Maximo, and that was 28 years ago. So I'm a Maximo person from the heritage of, I'm an ex-IBM, I put it that way. So
Okay. All right. Okay, so as you mentioned that you started your career very early with the IT industry. So could you please
yeah.
tell a bit more about the journey, like by telling us like what exactly inspired you to create this Maximo Secret and produce over 350 plus articles on EAM?
Well, I actually started documenting. So as Maximo started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, I really started to collect as much information as I could. And when I did deep dives into certain things, I was writing articles and on various different subjects. And to be honest, I found that I couldn't, as more and more as the disk space grew, I couldn't find those articles. I was spending so much time looking for articles that I could swear that I'd previously written.
Okay.
So I started out by thinking, well, if I learn to blog, I can put up these articles somewhere on the internet, and I'd know where to go and find them. And so it was, I started MaximoSecrets really for my own personal benefit.
Okay.
And the MaximoSecrets that you see today is the website with the 350 articles in it. I actually started about 4 years before that, learning the process of blogging. And I actually started with paperback. So I would forget as soon as I read a paperback, my head's full of Maximo stuff. All right, you got to say, so there's no space for anything else. And so as soon as I had read a paperback book, I would not even remember the title. I wouldn't remember anything about it. So I thought, well, okay, so let's start doing a little summary, and that will teach me how to blog. So that's how it started, and that was called Paperback Secrets, and you could probably still find it somewhere on Google Blogger today. I think there was about I don't know, 15 or 20 that I wrote, and then after I really had sort of got to the point where I really understood about how to do blogging, then I thought, okay, I'll start writing articles about Maximo. And then after a certain number, I thought, well, I've got to have a better site for doing this. And so I think about it's 8 years ago I started on the WordPress software and started I ported over a load of articles that I'd written previously, and that's where I really so what you see today is really 8 years worth of work, but actually it's more than 8 years. It's probably about 10 years worth of work, because I'd already written a load of articles prior to that, and it's branched out. So a year and a half ago, no, 2 years ago, I started a YouTube channel and a podcast. Okay, admittedly, I did about 25 of those, and then I got stuck into a project, so I didn't really have time to do any more. And I'm just about to relaunch more videos and more podcasts. I mean, the podcast and the video have the same title, but they're completely different words, and they're really aimed at different people. So one of the biggest aims that I've got for MaximoSecrets is really to help Maximo practitioners who are trying to do their certification to have the materials that they would need to try and do the certification. So I tend to write about new features of Maximo rather than the features of, I mean, you won't find many articles around work orders because everyone knows work orders, or most people do. So you won't find actually very many. So it's much more geared towards the consulting base, the people who want to learn Maximo because they're going to go and do consulting in it, and rather than really with for existing clients, rather than client base. But there is material for clients, and it is useful for clients as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's been quite a journey, and I've still got a journey to go.
Okay.
It's too much to write about.
And it's a great thing that you initially just started it as a notes for your own, but later it is contributing and helping many other person who are also dealing with the Maximo thing. So that's a huge contribution from your end.
I use it all the time myself. So clients ask me a question, we're thinking about doing XYZ, and I say, well, okay, why didn't you read my article first on it? So I actually I mean, I've just written something on Friday afternoon, and I think there's three links that I've provided in there to a 1.5 page or perhaps 2 page document that I've done for a client. Just say, if you want to understand that this client is thinking about upgrading, and I've written some articles about upgrading to Mass 9. So why don't you go and start by reading that article? I don't need to repeat it in a document because I've already written it and put it down. So I use it a lot myself.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's talk a bit about your recognition, because as an expert you have been recognized with various titles, as like you have been recognized as an IBM champion since 2022, and you are also a certified IBM deployment professional for the Maximo Manage version 9. So how has this recognition impacted your work, and what do you most enjoy most about being part of this huge community?
Well, I guess the IBM Champions is a great thing. I mean, I didn't know I was going to become an IBM champion until I found out that a few people had nominated me, and I really didn't know anything about the IBM. I've seen people saying, "Oh, I'm an IBM champion" on LinkedIn, but I hadn't actually really went to see what that means. And then all of a sudden, I had some. I started to receive some nominations or information that people had written about me, and that the following January I became an IBM champion, and I didn't really know what that meant. It hasn't really changed me at all. But it's a great recognition, and it's a great program. I mean, it's really, really good program. Particularly, I like what they're doing at the moment to give people a roadmap on how to become an IBM champion. They started that in, I think, March this year. And so yes, I've been recognized, I think, mainly through the Maximo Secrets.
Okay.
I do also work with IBM themselves, so some of the designers. I do contribute on the community pages and things like that. I'm not one who goes out and does the public speaking. I did put myself forward this this time round at Tech Exchange to do it, but I wasn't asked to, and perhaps that might come on another time. But I think it's really from the Maximo Secrets that where the main recognition comes in.
Okay.
The certification side of things is why am I certified? Well, I'm certified because I was one of the few people who actually wrote the questions. So, so I did that for version 9. I did that for version 8. I did it also for 7.1. In fact, I did 2 for 7.1. There was 2 certifications I did at that time. I skipped the ones around 7.5, 7.6. So I've been doing that sort of certification for a number of years. And I'm very fortunate to have a very good friend in a person called Martin Williams, who works for IBM, who lives just up the road from me, and he does a lot of the training material
Okay.
for Maximo. So and he helps to organize the certifications. So that's probably why I get roped into helping out. But I enjoy it. It's a lot of hard work.
Yes, it is.
It isn't easy writing exam questions. It really isn't, because you can't use negatives, you can't do this, you can't do that. You've got to have plausible wrong answers. Coming up with plausible wrong answers is really, really tough.
Right.
Yeah,
It's not that easy
really
task.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I was involved over the summer this year, and the new certification was launched for version 9 in time for Tech Exchange, and of all the certifications that people did at Tech Exchange in Las Vegas this year, I understand that Maximo was by far the most people wanted to go and do certifications,
Okay.
and a lot of people passed, and I'm delighted that people passed, because I thought we might have made it a little bit too tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, but people did pass, which is good.
Okay. So they might have prepared well. Okay. All right. So we just discussed about your contributions as well as your expertise. And now I just
Mhm.
want to ask you a bit about the challenges, because I completely understand that writing all those articles in a detailed manner is not that easy task. So like, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in building such a large repository for the Maximo knowledge base on Maximo Secrets? So
Well, yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
think challenges. I think there's so much. Maximo is enormous and we call it Maximo Application Suite at the moment. And I only do art. I mean, apart from an overview, I only do articles in what many people would recognize as Maximo, which is
Okay.
the enterprise asset management part of it. I mean, it's asset lifecycle management now, but I tend to focus on the enterprise asset management part. But one of the biggest challenges is because there is just so much you could write about. So picking the subject
Yes.
is picking the subject areas. I mean, what I've tended to do is tended to do a number of deep dives in around a particular area, and then covered that area to almost every point that you'd find, every feature that you would find in that particular area of Maximo. I mean, service management, I think, was 22 articles I think I did. And I mean, each article, with the screenshots, 20, 30 pages. I mean, it's a lot of,
Okay.
it's a lot. I mean, 350 articles. You could have, of course, have 350 small articles. I actually looked up what it, because I actually worked it out the other day, about 2 weeks ago. It's 736,000 words. All
Okay.
right, all right. That is equivalent of 1,600 pages of text, and it's all material that can help someone to try to learn about Maximo, and it does
Maximum.
go deep. And yeah, and but there are overviews and other things in there as well, because it's a website. Yeah, so one of the big challenges is actually trying to plan out, where do I go next.
Right.
And I'm currently going through the new features of Mass 9. I'm doing it both a deep dive, so the detailed description, and I write those deep dives in a way that someone, sorry, beg your pardon, someone may be, if they're following it. I hope that people do follow this, because I write them in a
Yeah.
way where, if they followed what I was doing in front of the Maximo system, then they can discover themselves what that functionality is. All right.
Okay.
It's the you for people to really learn, they really should be using my material, but in front of the Maximo screen. You can't just read it. It probably become too boring just to read it.
Correct.
So, but if you can follow what I'm doing, so that's why there's a lot of screenshots in those articles. I mean, there must be way over 1,000 screenshots on MaximoSecrets. I haven't. Like, WordPress don't give you any statistics on that, so I couldn't tell you how many there were. So at the moment, I'm working through all the Mass 9 new features, again, to help to try to get through the certification, and for people who are upgrading, to see what the new features that IBM have been working on in the areas of Maximo that they would be most interested in. So, yeah. Challenges wise, the other big challenge is, because you're working on the new features, trying to work out what those new features do
Yeah. Right.
can be quite challenging. And of course, what I inevitably end up doing is I end up finding defects. I mean, what software doesn't have defects? And I end up writing a lot of ideas about, using my experience of working on many different industries where Maximo is used. I do raise a lot of ideas when I think that these are requests for enhancements, when I think that that something has been missed. And I think 90 odd, since the 1st of November through to the middle of September. Why do I know this? Middle of September, because you're an IBM champion as well. You probably have to submit submit to Libby and the IBM
Activities.
champion
Yeah.
program team why you should retain your IBM champion status for next year. So yes, I counted up the number of defects I've raised, and the number of ideas, and I think it was 91 ideas I created in that 10 and a half month period.
Okay.
So,
All right. So with this answer, it is quite clear that it takes lot of efforts and lot of time to prepare these things. In fact,
yeah.
like, it's not that easy task for anyone to do and to provide such kind of repository. So here I want to ask you one more question related to Maximus Secret itself. That how
Mm-hmm.
do you see the secret, Maximus Secret evolving in the next upcoming few years? Or are there any new areas or functionality within the Maximo that you are excited to cover in the upcoming years?
Um, yeah, so I want, so the immediate thing is that as I'm working through doing the new features, I'm actually also writing the the transcripts for a video and a podcast.
Okay.
So the video and the podcast, it covers the same area, but the podcast is really aimed much more as someone trying to test whether they are ready to do certification. So are they if they listen to the podcast, are they picking up things that they didn't know? If they're picking up things that they didn't know, then the idea is we'll go to the transcript and just read about it. And if you think it's in that area, then and try it out. So yes, I'm going to go back to doing the YouTube videos and the podcast.
Okay.
From the sense of where do I go in writing new articles, I really want to do. My background is actually in planning and scheduling. That's
Okay.
so if I go back to before Maximo, I worked for a company called PSDI. That stood for Project Software Development Inc. And they had project
All
control
right.
software. And they had a little Maximo system. Maximo's 40 years old in May next year. So at the time when I was working on the project software, there was one person who was trying to sell Maximo there in Europe. And yes, I worked on the project control software. So I've always maintained an interest in the way that the scheduler application goes. And I see the way that clients approach trying to do scheduling or planning and scheduling. And there's really three phases. You plan your work, you schedule your work, and you assign your work to people and crews to go and do the work. So there's really three phases that the Maximo scheduler goes through, and I see people approach the project in the wrong way. So
Okay.
I'm looking to try to write a series of articles. I did write an article called "The 12 Steps to Planning and Scheduling Maturity,"
Okay.
which is on MaximoSecrets. And really what I want to do is I want to dive a little bit deeper than that to sort of explain the steps a little bit more. And the 12th step is going to optimization, and
All
really
right.
what the scheduling path will be doing is taking someone through to I'll be writing some articles around the schedule optimization. That's what I really want to do, and the new dashboards, which are based on you need to have the schedule optimizer to use the dashboards. Scheduling and mobile, really almost every Maximo client wants to do those sort of things. And so they really are quite a focus for me. And so that's my intention. But who knows? Something might come along and throw a spanner in the works, and I might drift off into another area. And that has happened a lot in the past as well. So
Okay, but overall, this is a great news for all of us that there are lined up content that is going to come up in the next few hours, in next few years. So it is a
yeah,
great news for everyone.
it's going to be it's much more likely that I write about things which are going to be of use to the masses of people rather than
Okay.
writing at the fringes of Maximo. The fringes of Maximo or Maximo application suite, where there isn't a large body of people writing it. I mean, for me to write something on Monitor, for instance, which is came from the IBM Internet of Things platform and other products, I don't know that. You see,
Right.
so it's a would be a very large investment of my time to learn it, to be able to a sufficient depth to write about it. So I'm unlikely to work on areas like that. I will stick to the areas where I sort of knew the product at one time or another because I've worked in a particular client site with it, and I may have forgotten about it. Well, not forgotten the content, because actually you do retain it. I don't retain much else out in my life
Yeah.
apart from Maximo. but um, you, it's worth refreshing. Every time I write an article, I do a lot of testing to make sure that whatever I'm writing is 100% accurate, or as accurate as it can be.
Okay. All right. And here, one question is from all those person like who wanted to start their career in Maximo related domain. So, what piece of advice would you like to someone who is new to Maximo, or wanted to start their career in EAM, and like what piece of advice are there for those members?
I think the good thing about Maximo is that if you like learning,
Mm-hmm.
you would never be bored. All
Right.
right. You can do 40, 50 years. I mean, I'm 28 years, but I'm sure Maximo is going to be around for another 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you get bored. And the reason for it is that when you look at the way that asset management is done in different industries, it's really quite different.
Yes.
And there's many industries which have physical assets. And Maximo doesn't just handle physical assets, it also handles digital assets. All right. So there's a part of Maximo, so you can go down that path. You can go down, if you want to get in, if you're one of those sort of people who are much more hands-on and wants to get involved in instruments and things like that, the monitor and the health and the even predictive maintenance. If you've got that sort of slight data science capability, there's so many different avenues for you to go in Maximo. So it's a great career to have, and I would recommend it to anyone. Just something that I've tended to notice over the years is that when people have done 3 or 4 years of Maximo, and they've at some point in time they leave,
Mm-hmm.
they tend not to leave the Maximo world. All
Okay.
right. And sometimes some do. I have known some people that have gone to competitor products, and those people have come back again to Maximo. Whether that's still the case or not, but I think once you sort of have started to learn this big beast, it's a very, very, very large suite
Okay.
of tightly coupled applications. Once you have got over that hurdle of knowing how to learn new parts to it, then I think you typically will end up in a career of it. You need to graft at it. Always learn. Anyone starting out, don't think that they can just go on a 5-day course and they could become a subject matter expert. And we do
Yeah.
see people calling themselves a subject matter expert with, with a few months experience. That is not, you are not a subject matter expert after 1 or 2 or 3 years. All right. You're a subject matter expert after you've probably been doing it for 10 years. And you still know a smidgen of Maximo after 10 years. All right. I've prided myself in trying to learn and keep up to date with everything that I can about Maximo. I doubt whether I know 50% of it. It's so large.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And I've written 350 articles. All right. I honestly don't believe I know more than 50% of it. But the 50% I do know, I know very well. So,
Right. Okay. All right. So now I want to take up the last question for the discussion, because although like
yeah.
there are many things that we can discuss, just because of the limitation of time, I would like
Yeah.
to ask bit about your hobbies. So could you please tell like what all hobbies or activities do you
Oh,
enjoy outside your work?
well, I have a wife and two children, two daughters,
Mhm.
who have gone through university, and one's married, and one's got a steady boyfriend, and uh, so I have more time now, um,
Yeah.
and uh, so I um, over the years, well, as a youngster, I learned to play piano, and okay, I was, went through all my grades and everything like that, and I was doing a diploma. I never took the diploma, um, and over the years, I've had another little dabble, and typically around when I got to 50, I had a serious attempt for more than a year. When I got to 55, I did it for about 6 months. When I got to 60, I did it for about 4 or 5 months. And I thought, when I retire, I will have another serious attempt at it. And I sat next to a lady at a dinner party on the 2nd of January a couple of years ago, and she happened to be a piano teacher. And I said, "Oh, you haven't got any spare spare place for someone to give some lessons to?" And so I started having lessons. I mean, to be honest, I have a lesson about once every 6 or 8 weeks or something. But not long after that, I went all in and bought myself a grand piano. So yes, piano is my current passion.
Okay.
Um, I do play the golf. I don't play tennis anymore. So golf and piano, and we do walking. Oh, I play bridge as well. I like bridge, and I've started to play a bit of chess. So, and I've been following the chess Olympiad. That was really, really interesting. That was and yeah, yeah. So, but the piano is the thing which is taken up most of my spare time at the moment.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Andrew, not only for joining this podcast and for sharing this expertise, but also for all those contributions that you are doing through your Maximo Secrets website and
Yeah,
all those articles. So thank you once again for joining us today and for sharing a lot of information with all of us. So thanks.
yeah. Thank you very much indeed, Amit, and I've enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks.